Stanford University to lead our afternoon panel discussion and breakout groups.
Hi, everybody. So you heard quite a bit this morning. I hope you found it is inspiring of optimism for the future of science as I did. And now everyone would like to hear from you. So I hope you have some thoughts about the structure of the Genesis mission that we could benefit from. Could you go to the next slide, please? Oh, I have a thing, don't I? Yes, thank you. I have a thing. Okay, so you heard this morning Undersecretary Gill's vision of the platform and the portfolio and how they interact with each other. What are the elements of a science platform in the modern world? What is the nature of very exciting science problems that will have great impact for society? And how do those two things interact with each other? So what we'd like to do now for the next hour and 45 minutes is bring up a panel of experts who are leads on the platform in the Genesis mission and have them present some of the elements to the platform to you. And then we'll go to 3 breakout groups. We'll go to breakout groups 3 times. When we go to breakout, I'll ask you to find 2 to 3 people near you, preferably people you don't already know, and introduce yourself. And then we have specific questions to ask you for feedback on what you're about to hear in the next 20 to 25 minutes. So let me invite our panel up to the stage. Rick Stevens, Brian Spears, Kelly Rose, Gina Tarasi, and Andy Schwartz, and you'll see their titles shortly in a moment. And invite them all to sit. Yeah, and welcome to the stage, folks. Okay, and so Rick, you're welcome to come up to the podium and kick us off. And the green button with the arrow on it advances the slide.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks, Cam. All right. It's always hard to be the first speaker after lunch. Everybody's in their comas. So we're going to get you out of your coma first. I want to ask a couple of questions just to get us moving, our brains moving a little bit. How many people of the performer class in here are currently using agents as part of your workflows? Raise your hand. Okay, great. How many are building something that we might describe as a domain-specific foundation model? Okay. And how many are building maybe surrogate models that would replace simulations? Okay, great. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit for a couple minutes about, first of all, theory of change. How are we imagining Genesis mission actually accomplishing the goals that are set by the Secretary and by Undersecretary Gill, right? So we know that the overall goal is to win in AI leadership, in global science, global economic leadership, and to be a leader from the United States standpoint and our friends, right? What that means is we have to create and use the most capable AI and integrate that, as Dario said in his talk, to create this Internet of Science, integrate it with technical resources, accelerators, telescopes, computers, etc., and focus that on attacking the most important problems at speed. At the heart of that are AI models, not just foundation models that we all use every day, but these domain-specific models, surrogate models, and so forth. But to integrate these models into a structure that allows us to have super capable partners for accelerating science. And then, and this is, I think, a key thing, we have to find a way to improve all of that iteratively as quickly as possible, right? And so I'm going to talk about the kind of data that we need to do that, and it's not the data that you think. My colleague, Kelly, is going to talk about data, and I'm not trying to take anything away from what she's going to talk about, but I'm going to describe a loop that I believe that we're beginning to start and how this complements what many people are already doing. Okay, so we know from people that are using agents that the most valuable data that AI frontier labs are interested in today, and likely for the near future, is how humans are using AI to do some complex task, or how humans are using the current infrastructure and tools they have to do some complex task. In our framework, what that means is we want our agents to be the vehicle for advancing our science. So if you're going to build a foundation model, you want your agent to build a foundation model. If you want to build a domain specific model, you want your agent to help build that. If you're doing an experiment, you want the agent to do that. And the reason that we want that is we want to capture the end-to-end behavior of those agents, the input tokens, the output tokens, and the artifacts that they produce. By capturing that, right, we capture every trace, we can then quickly leverage that combined data to train the underlying models driving the agents. We can also capture that information and put it into shared memories that all the agents can see. Now, the reason that that's interesting is that with agents, unlike humans, we can construct the infrastructure such that these agents can improve at the rate that they all see new information. So each agent can get better by leveraging the experience of all the agents in our fleet or in our armada. Earlier this week, I took a view of the portfolio of projects, the 278 projects, and did a bunch of analysis. And it looks like we could probably drive that science forward with an army of about 10,000 agents. And just for a minute, you should imagine if we started working that way, how each agent's experience contributes to a corpus of collective experience that could then be mined quickly to improve the capability of agents. That loop is what I call the flywheel. And that's the accelerator that we have on this. It changes the underlying models that fuel our agents and gives the agents experience. And that complements the improvement of individual domain-specific models from the results of additional experiments. So that's the idea that we're after. I'm going to hand this over to Brian.
Okay, you've heard from me. There will be no movies this time. So we'll just do one slide, but I want to give it a slightly different angle this time. What Rick described is exactly the direction that we hope things go. We hope it's you with an agent-driven system collecting what we need to make it better. The thing that we do not hope is that everybody is sitting out there building everything for themselves, identical copies or similar copies over and over again. So the platform is meant to be the vehicle that accelerates you and helps you do that. I just want to make 2 points for our discussion here. One is you should see it as the resource for you. It's the one-stop shop where you come to get your frontier AI, to get the agent tools and capabilities, and you need not be an expert in attacking that. So you all got at 9:30 p.m. apparently last night, a link to the GEAR website. I'll keep saying that. So read the GEAR website where you can go see what are the tools that are available to you. Go use those. Do not go reinvent them. Don't go get them. This is the key piece of the flywheel that we need. The second is it's completely and totally incomplete. It does not have in it all of the special sauce that each and every one of you bring. So we have to have you guys clearly identify what are the gaps in that flywheel, the places where it's not smooth when it spins, so that we can follow up with the 1-2 punch that Rick and I are talking about. So let's go out and be agentic together so we can get the flywheel spinning. And don't build all of your own tools. You no longer have to. You have a nation scale effort that's helping you get the flywheel going. Come get that. And then where it's not complete, we'll build it together.
All right. I am so excited to be here, and I cannot tell you how glad I am to hear my colleagues, like Rick, but the plenary this morning, spotlighting and emphasizing data. The data piece of the mission is what is driving and powering the innovation that you all are going to help unlock. You have to go from the start with an intentionality towards your data as being absolutely critical to success. I cannot tell you how pleased I was to hear in one of the plenaries unlock data for the next era of AI that AI is bringing. It is a different mindset. It's not linear. It's not data in and then somewhere at the end, data out. There is an iterative loop that is visualized on the slide. It's complex. At this point in time, it's scaled at proportions that defy the human imagination, but it's absolutely critical that each of your teams contribute to the data ecosystem that is going to fuel the platform, fuel the agents, fuel the Genesis mission, and the innovative future that we're working to unlock together. You heard this morning, Brian mentioned the gear.doe.gov site, gear like a bicycle gear, GEAR. For those of you that are awardees, you should have received guidance. There's a lot of really great resources in there for all different aspects of the platform and the data piece in particular. You have help unlocking your data future. Please reach out, please engage, and please start as you intend to go with data as an intentional piece of the puzzle and your success and that of the mission as a whole as we unlock this innovative future together. Thank you.
So I'm here to talk about federation, which I believe is one of the defining aspects of the Genesis mission. For a long time, we've been talking about supercomputers, data, models, experimental facilities as individual capabilities. The Genesis mission is asking a different question: how we can bring all of these capabilities together as one scientific instrument and as an instrument that respects the partner's autonomy and the partner's strength. And the scientific motivation behind this is that the scientific discovery process is very distributed. The best AI model may live in one lab, an experimental facility somewhere else. We know that scientists, when they search for data, the data live in different repositories, or when they execute computational campaigns, they may lean to leadership computing facilities, edge computing, the cloud. But right now, the scientists need to navigate that space by themselves. Federation aims to shift that burden from the scientist to the infrastructure. Often when we talk about federation, we confuse it with centralization. Federation is not about the one owner, one implementation, or one policy. It is about bringing the community together to agree on shared standards, unified interfaces, and a common governance framework. So this is what we're going to talk during the breakout session. And we need to start about defining for us as a community, what are those attributes that matter? And here is a list of attributes for us to consider in this conversation. We want definitely to make sure that through this federated environment, we'll have the scientists find resources that can access through a trusted identity. So we talk about accessibility. And then it's about how can this world be highly composable, how we can bring these pieces together to make end-to-end workflows. I would expect that the most lively discussion will happen towards actionability, because as we're living in a highly increasingly AI agentic world, at which point the agents start acting on their own, and what does it mean when we try to federate those agents? And last but not least, for anything that is scalable, sustainable, reliable, trustworthiness of the infrastructure and the federation components are extremely important. So these are some of the topics we will start exploring and defining as a community during the breakout session and beyond.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy Schwartz, here from the Office of Science, but really representing the cross-DOE team that executed this RFA and resulted in this portfolio that you're all a part of. So first, let me offer my congratulations to all of you in the room and your team members who are not here. As you've already heard this morning, the response to the Genesis Mission RFA was unprecedented, and your attendance here is a testament to the strength of your science, your AI approaches, and to the teams behind you. You are really the heart of the Genesis Mission portfolio that we're talking about here. The breadth of this portfolio is awe-inspiring. You've seen this poster this morning, or this image this morning in Dario's talk. It's up on one of the posters. Both geographically, also institutionally, and topically. This is an amazingly diverse and broad portfolio, and we're super excited to have you all here. You represent 278 projects, 342 unique institutions spanning national labs, academia, industry, and other research organizations. Most importantly, I think your work addresses 95 different focus areas across the 21 challenge areas identified in the RFA. This is truly an impressive national portfolio of R&D aimed at delivering AI advantage for science and technology. As you know well, the RFA asked you to propose interdisciplinary R&D to accelerate scientific discovery and workflows through novel AI approaches. Our assessment is that you did that, so well done. Now the real work begins. Phase 1 projects, represented by most of you in this room, are expected to demonstrate research workflows that incorporate AI to accelerate scientific discovery and to provide a quantitative analysis to demonstrate that the proposed approach is on a trajectory toward transformative scientific or technological capability. Your proposals were selected based on both the strength of the science as well as the strength of the AI approaches that you proposed, and your success in these projects will be measured against both of those axes as well. We anticipate, and the show of hands I think earlier demonstrated that many of you have data and models that you will leverage for this effort. In addition, the Genesis Mission platform, which you've heard about from Brian and others, will allow for sharing developments, capabilities, and best practices, will also provide the underlying resources for data, model training, inference, and much more. We expect that your teams will engage with the platform and take advantage of it when valuable and practical, that you will participate in the coordination of activities for data, models, infrastructure, et cetera, and they will provide feedback on requirements, needs, and best practices. The upcoming breakouts that Cam is going to lead us through shortly are really intended to initiate this feedback loop between the portfolio, represented by all of you, and the platform that this incredible team, led by Brian and others, has developed and is rolling out. The upcoming breakout discussions are intended, the upcoming breakout discussions are intended to initiate that feedback loop. As Cam noted earlier in her opening remarks, in many ways, the success of the Genesis mission depends on this close integration between portfolio and platform. And we really encourage you to engage in this conversation with us. So today is, of course, about celebrating these exciting collaborative partnerships. Tomorrow, we all roll up our sleeves, get to work, and make Genesis a success. Good luck.
Okay, there's an incredible amount of brain power in this room. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to form groups of 3 to 4 people, and within your group to assign a scribe. Before we came in, every 3 seats, the wonderful ORISE staff and Office of Science staff set down 3 pieces of paper every 3 sheets, every 3 seats. So you should have enough paper to take notes for 3 breakout groups, okay? So use 1 piece of paper for the first breakout group, another piece of paper for the second breakout group, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to form groups of 3 to 4. So first, I just want to provide a sense, just a very brief sense of who's in the room. So if you're someone who presented a poster in the poster session earlier today, could you please raise your hand? Awesome, thank you. So look around. So these are folks who were not only funded in an earlier cycle for doing this kind of work, but also are people who were selected in a fairly extensive process that we ran over the last few weeks to figure out who would get a poster in that room. So thank you all so much for doing the work to do that. How many of you are recent, current, new RFA awardees? Yes, raise your hands. Okay, excellent. Welcome to the team. You can see we're already getting into that exponential scaling thing that we're looking for. So I think you're all probably also excited to learn from each other. When you get in your breakout group, I suggest you take a minute or two before you start diving into our topics to just introduce yourselves to each other and find out what you're working on. Again, the theory of what we're accomplishing today is really encapsulated in this image. There's a platform and there's a portfolio of projects, and those are both important and they interact with each other. We want to make clear, or at least I want to make clear, that as you work on your project, your job is to do what you need to do to get your project done. And what you heard, especially you heard very strongly from Brian, but I think you heard from everybody, is that this team wants the platform to be something that both benefits from your work, but also that you experience as accelerating your work. So they want your feedback, right? With that, let's move to breakouts. The breakout instructions are that we'll have 3 breakout groups. The lead panelist for that breakout group will present the questions to the breakout groups. You'll see them in a second. We ask you to self-organize, assign a note taker. We will circulate, and actually, is Hal Finkel in the room? Where's Hal? Okay, great. So Hal Finkel is also going to circulate. Hal Finkel is the new-ish, although it doesn't feel new anymore, AD in the Office of Science for Oscar. So he'll also be circulating. Please assign a note taker and we'll circulate and chat with you guys and bring some stuff back, but we'll also collect the pieces of paper. If there's any questions on logistics, you can ask me once we start breaking out. Okay, so these are the first discussion sessions, which were teed up by Rick and Brian. So maybe I'll let Rick just make a minute of comments on anything about those.
Okay, so the idea here is we want to hear from you now that you've had all of a couple of hours to digest what we're trying to do. Okay. 3 fundamental questions. One is, what would you most want the platform to do for you today that you can't do yourself? This is a part of what Brian was articulating, which is we want to build something that benefits everybody. We don't want to have people duplicate what they're doing, and we want people to leverage what other people are doing. So that's a question. We'd love to have people write down a handful of bullets in each group. Second question is, what could you contribute to make the platform richer for everyone? So the first thing is, what do you want? Second one is, what do you have that you are willing to somehow inject into the stone soup that we're making in some sense, right? And again, in your team of 3, maybe a couple of bullets, right? And the last part is we're trying to get our head around how people are thinking about agents. We know that agents are a very broad topic and it's expanding across the way everybody is using AI. And we're often asked the question, what's after agents? And we're trying to figure that out. But we want to know, how agentic is your work, or how agentic do you want your work to be? That is, are you wanting to kick back by the pool and have the agents do everything? Or do you want to be there working shoulder to shoulder with your agent or something else? Okay, so these are the 3 questions that Brian and I deeply want to know the answers to, and we're going to kick off here and have you do your thing, and we're going to wander around, and then we'll come back together and take some questions.
Okay,
right?
good. Yeah.
Okay.
So first thing is an icebreaker thing. It's good to engage people's brains and puzzles. Please look around you and notice the current configuration of chairs. This is especially for the people in the back half of the room where your chairs are in nice rows. Okay. Now I'm going to encourage everyone, get in groups of 3 or 4, 5 if you really need to. After that, break it up into 2 smaller groups and turn your chairs around and form a nice group for having real conversations. These 3 questions, anything else in the compute models and agents category that you want us to know, write it down on that piece of paper. Okay. Meredith's going to time us. Is this a good time to start the timer, Meredith? Okay,
Let's go.
great. The timer is started. Let's go.
Okay, this should be chaos now for a while.
I guess so.